Good morning, once again, Wellbeing Weekly. And I'd just like to say a big thank you, first of all, to Victoria Sturgis, Black Pug Books in Wimborne, which is where Paula and I are sat today doing the recording for Wellbeing Weekly. And if you haven't been, you need to pop down here. It is just gorgeous. It is so cosy and lovely. So thank you very much, Victoria, for letting us use it. So good morning, Paula, again.
Good morning.
This morning we are talking about getting outside more as a way of helping deal with stress and anxiety. Before we go into that, can I just ask you, we were talking earlier on about physical health and mental health.
Yeah.
And you were saying about how stress and anxiety are treatable, are manageable in the same way as on a physical level the common cold is manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just quickly elaborate on that a little bit for me?
Yeah, sure. No problem at all. We all need stress in our lives. We really do. Stress, if you think of stress as more of a motivator. So we all needed stress in our lives this morning to get up, get dressed, come down to this beautiful bookshop. That is, and also all the traffic, you know, that stress. We need that to get ourselves going. It's when we don't deal with our stress, when it builds up and up and up, you end up feeling like you're walking through treacle. The stress then, if it's not dealt with, can lead to anxiety. And anxiety, low-level anxiety, is just that you feel anxious about things. You might watch a whodunit type of film or something, and you feel really anxious because of your anxiety levels are high. However, anxiety can lead right up to people hallucinating. You know, it can be really, really serious. But stress and anxiety, if it's dealt with in the right way for the right person, can be controlled, i.e. like a cold. You know, we'll take aspirin or paracetamols. We will have decongestants. We will have things that will make us feel better. And eventually we get there. But if you have a mental illness, it's a bit like having a stroke, or you have cancer, or you have a disease that leukemia, or something that, you know, is really quite serious.
Thing, something that's just going to go on forever.
Yeah. So a mental illness comes under, for me, that same category. And, you know, we talked before about all different types of therapists and therapy that you can have. There are hundreds. And fundamentally, if you've got a mental illness, and by the way, there are over 300 diagnosable mental illnesses, and low-level stress and anxiety doesn't come under that.
That's amazing, actually, that there's that many.
There is.
But we still talk about mental health as like just one thing.
Yes.
You either have it or you haven't.
Yes, exactly.
Which is like saying that I have poor physical health.
Yes.
Or I have good physical health, and there's no in between.
Yeah. The brain is part of your body. I mean, it's a conversation we've had before. You know, the brain isn't separate. And just as a throwaway, when you are an embryo being formed into a human, your stomach and your brain embryo split. One becomes the brain, one becomes the stomach. So it is always intrinsically linked, the brain. So the saying where I get gut feeling, is because it's intrinsically linked.
So when you say that you can get to a man's heart through his stomach, it's not so far off the truth.
Exactly, you're going in the right direction.
So let's talk a little bit more about getting outside and how sort of fresh air can aid your mental health.
100%. When you're suffering with stress and anxiety, you tend to want to isolate. You tend to want to stay in. You want to be warm. You want to be comfy. You want to shut the world away. But actually, if you can get yourself outside, there is 101 benefits to it. Firstly, you have space.
Yep.
You get that feeling of space, even if you live
especially at the moment, the whole 2
well,
metre
exactly,
thing.
yes. But even if you live in a really built up area, just by being outside, you're not, I mean, this is a beautiful room, but it's quite a small room. And if that's the room that you're living in all the time, it can feel claustrophobic. By just going outside, you get that feeling of space. You see that there is a world out there. It's not just you. There's other people, there's cars, there's lorries, there's trees, there's nature, there's, everything is outside.
So it can help alleviate that feeling of isolation.
100%, absolutely. You feel that you aren't on your own. There are other people around, or there's other life in general around. And if you enjoy nature, going into nature is so beneficial for the mind. Really, really is. Makes you feel calmer. It's what I call feed you. I talk about a lot of things when you do something that's going to feed you to make you feel better. So it does all of that. But it also makes you move. And when you're stressed and anxious, you don't want to move either. And if we don't move, we're not going to move everything around in our bodies. When we're stressed, suffering stress and anxiety, it's the same as fight or flight.
Yep.
Now, if you've not heard of fight or flight, it's the human's natural reaction to fear, to looking after yourself, to protecting yourself. But lots and lots of things happen within the body. And one of those is we produce a great deal of adrenaline and cortisol. And it is very much, if I say to a lot of my clients, is it like walking through treacle? They go, it is. I feel just heavy and lethargic. So being outside, getting that fresh air and moving the body will help to move all that around. If you can, if you're physically able to do some form of exercise, that is so beneficial for your well-being. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody can
even
move.
something as simple as normally if I'm popping down to Tesco's, I'll take the car. But realistically, it's only a 20-minute walk.
Exactly.
So just walking down to Tesco's to pick up a couple of bits that I want and walking back rather than jumping in the car.
100%. I will guarantee that you will feel so much better, as long as you've not got soaking wet or whatever. You will feel so much better by just doing that extra little bit. I remember years ago they used to say, get off one stop away from on the buses, get off one step before that you should do, just do a bit of extra walking. That was for, physical and getting fit. Yes, we all should be getting fit. But when we're talking specifically about stress and anxiety, it is just literally being outside, moving the body to the extent that you're able to do is hugely, hugely beneficial.
Okay, that's brilliant. Getting off one stop before the end, I'd love to have done that, but when I was driving them, it probably wasn't such a great idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that would have worked for you, would it really?
I did leave my conductor behind at a terminus once, and he got quite a lot of exercise that day because he had to run all the way up from Mortlake to catch me, which was quite funny. So getting out, meeting up with friends, just going for a walk, just walking to the corner shop. A bit of gardening. Yeah,
gardening is brilliant, especially if you enjoy nature. Nature is very, very powerful for people who are suffering, as are animals. So even if you take your cat for a walk, that can be beneficial. But even if you can have rabbits in the back garden, you have to go out, you have to clean them out, you have to do things. So you're getting outside, you're doing something different, because what happens with the fight or flight is you lose all of your motivation to do anything whatsoever. So you just tend to sit.
Okay. So really then we need to find the balance as well, because Lex and I were talking the other day about allowing yourself to have a down day, allowing yourself to have what I call a duvet day. So it's okay to do that, but at the same time that needs to be tempered with the right amount of being outside, physical exercise, and getting that adrenaline going to help benefit your mental health.
Definitely. One of the things that I really recommend for my clients is to have what I call a self-care plan. And that's about planning to look after yourself. Planning something every day that is going to feed you, that you're going to feel good about.
I think that's a really nice idea. And if you'd like to know more about that, I think that would be a great thing to contact Paula on.
More than happy to talk through that with anybody.
Thank you, Paula.
No problem.